Hello, everyone. Welcome to Galaxy Brains, where that's not Elon Musk hijacking your consciousness. It's your last scintilla of uncolonized thought, wondering if you should start Darius Slayton or Philip Dorsett in DFS this weekend. Denny, we'll begin where we so often do, with Russell Wilson and his apparent inability to either sleep or call plays correctly.
Russell Wilson is a hard worker, folks. Okay, he is a riser and a grinder, as we all know. It turns out, though, he may not be super familiar with the Broncos playbook. Tyler Columbus, a Broncos insider, reported this week that, quote, Russ is losing his mind out there. He's using audibles from his Seahawks days. The guys don't know the audibles, talking about the Broncos players. He's using code words that these guys don't know. And that, as you may guess, Pat, it is a Galaxy Brain move. It also is probably bad for your offense if you are remembering audibles, from last year or the year before and calling them out. And the players look at you like, I don't know what's going on, Russ. I don't know which route to run. I don't even know if this is a running play, a passing play. It is something, and it goes back to something that we addressed on Galaxy Brains last week. Pete Carroll begged for years Russell Wilson to wear a wristband with the team's plays on it, as you see sometimes. He refused. The Broncos actually convinced him to do so. This past week against the Tennessee Titans, it didn't really work out as the Broncos again failed to score many points. But you have to wonder what's going on with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Denny, just beyond this being bad football, beyond it being bad leadership, what it really is just bad American citizenship, because Russell Wilson has done the single worst thing a young person can do, and that is prove an old man right. Pete Carroll was right. Back in his day, they really did do it better. Back in my day, we knew the plays, Russ.
We ran the ball.
We wore a band that had the plays on them, and we knew them, and then we executed them. And Russ was like, "Yeah, whatever. We don't need to do that." And then Pete Carroll immediately makes Geno Smith better than Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll was right. No one wanted this outcome, and yet it's the outcome we have.
In the generational battle between millennials and baby boomers, this perhaps tilts the entire playing field toward the baby boomers. That the fact that Pete Carroll was right about Russell Wilson. It doesn't matter that the boomers were wrong about everything else. Pete Carroll was right about this. And so I don't think we can ever recover as the younger generation.
No, it's a death blow to generations of people.
Truly.
Denny, as America grapples with a high school coach beating Josh McDaniels, we are suddenly hearing all sorts of counterfactuals and unique defenses of Jeff Saturday's hiring, how it was smart all along, how it was amazing all along, how actually it's quite normal to hire a high school coach in the middle of the season.
Totally.
Have them take over for one of the most respected head coaches in the NFL. And Colts great, Edgerrin James, trotted out maybe the most unique defense where he said, Jeff Saturday with the dub, go at Colts. This is America. FYI, 5 presidents had never been elected to public office before becoming president.
Yeah.
Zachary Taylor, Ulysses S. Grant, Herbert Hoover, who I heard had a real successful presidency,
really good.
Dwight D. Eisenhower, and one Donald John Trump. Denny, does he have a point here, Edgerrin James?
He has a point, and that actually is correct. Those 5 presidents did not serve in public office before elected president. I don't know beyond that what point he's trying to make. It's tough to understand exactly where the edge is going here. He does point out also factually, we can't argue with this. This is America. Okay. We do live in the United States. So does Jeff Saturday. The Indianapolis Colts exist in the United States. So really, I don't know if we can argue with much in this tweet beyond the comparison and what it might mean for Jeff Saturday down the road.
It could mean a lot for this country going forward. Both parties are kind of in a leadership transition. maybe should Jeff Saturday be our next president? I think maybe that's where he was kind of going with it, actually. This would be bigger than football.
I wouldn't be shocked. We're in an age where a celebrity, can be president. And look, the thing I like about Jeff Saturday, Pat, is that he's not a politician. He's a coach.
He's not. Hey, just keep the politics out of football. Just go out there, beat Josh McDaniels instantly 5 days after being hired, and do your job. And Denny, speaking of Josh McDaniels, there's more news in the Josh McDaniels world.
There is, Bill Plaschke on Around the Horn, which I think you and I most recently watched. at a Jiffy Lube waiting room in 2007. So was reported this week that the Raiders are too, quote, cash poor to fire Josh McDaniels, even though this season has been disastrous. And in fact, Plaschke said McDaniels will be the coach of the Raiders this season, throughout the season, and then next season as well, because again, they don't have the money to actually cut him loose and then pay him. That's the issue, like they did with John Gruden. Now, this raises the question: did Al Davis leave enough money for his son to run this organization? Because I looked it up before this show, and folks, Al Davis only left $500 million for his son to run this show. So he's scraping bottom now.
Well, Al Davis, I'll come in here and defend Mark Davis a little bit. Al left behind enough money to pay 2 or 3 dead coaching contracts. He didn't leave behind enough money to pay 7 or 8 dead coaching contracts. The Raiders, I mean, I Googled this. I was shocked. The Raiders still owe Bill Callahan $7.2 million. I wish that, just for the record, that is fake, but you could imagine if it were real.
I thought it was. I wouldn't have been shocked. One thing that the Raiders might want to consider, Mark Davis, if you're listening, you probably are, is hiring a good coach. It's one thing, because then what you can do is you can pay the coach and not have to hear about firing him and not have to worry about any of that. You just pay him, you win some games, maybe you make the playoffs. It's just one thought from one football fan to another. Maybe hire one good coach.
I just keep getting hung up on the fact that how could you be a worse stunt hire than John Gruden was? Like, the guy was like, this Ndamukong Suh, Jaws, this guy gets me. I love the game. And that was the guy that you're a worse coach than. The guy that would just shout that in the Monday Night Football.
The guy who was hired in, 2018, and whose his first press conference, John Gruden said, I'm bringing back the 90s, and somehow McDaniels is worse than that guy.
Someone has to bring back the 90s, Denny. Is it going to be Jerry Jones trying to bring back the 80s and 90s with Lawrence Taylor and Micah Parsons? Or does he have another plan for Micah Parsons, Denny?
He does. So Micah Parsons, as you may have read, dropped back in coverage quite a bit in the Cowboys' Week 10 loss to the Packers. They were huge favorites going in. Micah Parsons, of course, being the league's premier pass rusher, didn't do much of that against the statuesque Aaron Rodgers. It raises a lot of questions. It sure is curious. Jerry Jones stepped in and defended the use of his best in the league pass rusher, and he said, look, that's fine. Dropping him back in coverage is exactly how he should be used. This is a galaxy brain move. We have to respect it. And honestly, it goes hand in hand with their backfield, with the Dallas backfield. The Dallas Cowboys are committed to using their worst running back, Ezekiel Elliott, to take most of the carries.
Come on, man.
They're committed to having Micah Parsons, the best pass rusher in the world right now, to just sit back and cover tight ends. And that, you have to respect it.
Well, I actually think I will defend Jerry Jones. I think this is modern life at its best, because we know this is the era of optimization. You got to optimize 2 hours of sleep. Your whole diet is only like citrus or something. And are you really optimized if you only get after the passer? It's 2022. You can't only get after the passer. Micah Parsons has already mastered being the next Lawrence Taylor. He needs to be the next Darrelle Revis now. I think it's actually pretty simple. There's really not that much to ask from Jerry Jones. He knows it's the era of efficiency, of optimization. Is there some reason Micah Parsons isn't Darrelle Revis is what he wants to know. And I frankly agree with him.
I do appreciate you taking this opportunity to try out to be the analytics guy for the Cowboys going forward.
Yeah, hey, like Mike McCarthy, actually, unlike Mike McCarthy, I actually have a PFF sub. All right? I actually have a PFF sub. And you know what? I even occasionally use it. Mike McCarthy did a free trial or something. I was like, yeah, whatever.
It was 2 weeks.
A dot, whatever it is, and just say a dot to the Cowboys honor and Jerry. We got to hire him.
EPA. Those are the letters he learned.
Back in the EPA, they were the ones who came to my property when I was dumping gasoline in the tree stump. But apparently, it means something different these days.
No politics,
man. Yeah, no politics. Never any politics. Only brain expansion. For Denny Carter, I'm Patrick Daugherty. Thank you for joining us.